We're all set.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the public session of the Mayor and Council. At this time, I would ask everyone to please rise for a moment of silent prayer and/or reflection as we continue to think about the war between Russia and Ukraine. And the death toll right now is approximately 14,000 people. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with
liberty,
and justice for all.
Thank you. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and attend any meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with this act, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of New Milford have caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Borough Hall, and notices have been sent to the Record and the Ridgewood News. The mission of this governing body is to provide essential services through the establishment and implementation of public policy that will safeguard the infrastructure, provide fair, honest, courteous, and professional services, establish a sense of trust and accomplishment between all residents, and through research and prudent planning, seek to minimize risk while improving our services. We are sensitive to the needs and satisfaction of our taxpayers, while realizing that this governing body cannot be all things to all people within the revenue constraints imposed by state mandates, economic conditions, and prevailing attitudes about taxation. Being that this meeting is being held virtual, our last one, I have to read the following. All participants are muted during the meeting. Anyone wishing to make a comment or ask a question can do so at such time as the meeting is open to the public for comment and during public hearings on any ordinances by hitting the button to raise your hand or by typing a message in the chat box. You will need to state your name and address for the record. Members of the public may also submit written comments for any future remote meetings by either email to cdemiras@newmilfordborough.com or a written letter to the Borough Clerk. Written comments must be received by 4 p.m. on the day of the remote meeting in order to be read into the record during the meeting. Members of the public commenting during a remote meeting shall not act in any manner to disrupt the meeting. If anyone becomes disruptive during the meeting, they will be muted. If time permits, the disruptive individual shall be allowed to speak after all other members of the public are provided an opportunity to comment. Any continued disruption may result in the member being prevented from speaking during the remainder of the meeting. Disruptive conduct includes, but is not limited to, shouting, interruption, and the use of profanity. At this time, I would ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilwoman Sandhusen.
Present.
Councilwoman Siraki Hurley. Council President Duffy. Councilman Grotzky.
Here.
Councilman Seymour.
Here.
Councilwoman Grant.
Here.
Mayor Petrino.
Here. Okay. Under unfinished business, may I get a motion for the approval of the minutes from the March 14th, 2022 closed and work session meetings?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have an ordinance up for adoption, 2022:08. And when the clerk gets the opportunity, I would ask her to please read the ordinance.
An ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Borough of New Milford entitled Salary, adopted as ordinance 9101 and amended annually by ordinances up to and including ordinance 2021-22.
The ordinance modifies the salary for the mayor and council positions. And it's at this time, I would ask for a motion to open up to the public for a public hearing on this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen of the public, if anyone has any questions about ordinance 2022:08, all we ask is that you give us your name and your address, and we will give you the floor.
No one's indicated that they wish to speak, Mayor.
Then I would ask for a motion to close to the public.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? May I get a motion to adopt this ordinance on its final reading?
Motion. Second.
May I get a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Sanusin,
yes,
Councilman Grotzky,
Yes.
Councilman Seymour,
yes,
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to move on to new business, and I have a proclamation for Women's History Month. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas Congress in 1987 designated the month of March as Women's History Month, and whereas every year since then, the President of the United States has issued a Women's History Month proclamation. And whereas throughout our history, despite hardship, exclusion, and discrimination, women have strived and sacrificed for equity and equality in communities across the country, and have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas American women have played and continue to play a critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of life in our community and the nation. And whereas American women have played a unique role throughout the history of the nation by providing the majority of volunteer labor force of the nation. And whereas American women, particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our nation. And whereas American women have always served to defend our freedom and our country courageously in the military, at home, and abroad. And whereas American women serve as police officers, firefighters, emergency medical technicians, in all capacities that work to protect life, property, and health and safety of residents and communities across our nation. And whereas American women have been leaders, not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also have contributed significantly to all other major movements to create a more fair, equal, and just society for all. And whereas this Women's History Month, as we reflect on the achievements of American women across the centuries and pay tribute to the pioneers who paved the way, let us recommit to the fight and help realize the deeply American vision of a more equal society and carry forward the mission of ensuring our daughters have the same opportunities as our sons. Now, therefore, I, Michael J. Petrino, Mayor of the Borough of New Milford, do hereby proclaim March 2022 as Women's History Month in New Milford, and urge all residents and businesses to appropriately honor the significant contributions, achievements, and impact women have had and continue to make in our great country and our community. So recently, we have a young woman from town. She's in the U14 wrestler, and she's the first female from New Milford to medal in her weight class in a state tournament. So I am going to give this proclamation to her in honor of that feat, because that was amazing. Her name is Rebecca Macario. Okay.
Very nice. Congratulations to her. Thank you.
Okay, we have an appointment. May I get a motion to appoint Kathleen Flanagan to the Board of Health? The Board of Health has recommended her appointment to me, so I bring it forward to you.
So moved.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Any opposed? Well, congratulations, Kathleen. We are looking forward to having you, and thank you for your service and wanting to serve. Okay, at this time, we're going to introduce some special guests here. We have our auditor, Mr. Stephen Wilcox, and he's going to jump in and tell us about our budget.
Special I am, Mayor, but thank you for the gratuitous introduction. Much
Very well.
appreciated. So tonight, yes, you have before you a resolution to introduce the calendar year 2022 municipal budget. You also have an ordinance for introduction relative to the appropriation cap and the appropriation cap bank. In terms of that ordinance, just for everybody's edification and for the public, it's this ordinance relative to the cap is something that's done every single year by pretty much every single municipality in the state. And the important thing that it does is it allows you to carry forward your appropriation cap bank from year to year to year. This year's budget is about $1 million under the appropriation cap. But without this ordinance, we wouldn't be able to then carry that bank into future years in the just in case scenario it's ever needed in order to be able to put forth a budget for any given year. As far as the budget goes, we were able to get the municipal tax increase under $100, $99 on the average residential assessment of about $330,000. Some of the driving factors in that were contractual salary increases of about $138,000. This one hurts. Increases in your pension contributions of $163,000. Insurances are up $65,000. Garbage and trash is up over $100,000. And the BCUA is up approximately $40,000 over last year. When you look at, and again, I feel like I'm a broken record because year after year after year, we talk about all the operating budgets of all the departments and all the services that you provide to the taxpayers and the citizens of the borough. And once again, throughout the budget, all the operating departments, the clerk, the tax collector, the assessor, recreation, health, recycling, a net decrease of $5,200 over last year. So what's controllable is being controlled. What's not controllable, garbage, pension, contractual obligations, like every other municipality, those costs continue to rise. Some, like garbage, at a more precipitous rate than others. Same with insurances. On the health side, the health companies are kind of trying to get a little bit even for all the COVID tests and all the vaccinations and all the additional expenses they've had over the last 2 years. But all in all, I still think a very good budget for the borough. You're still funding all the things you always fund, providing the services that you always provide. And again, it's a tax increase under $100, and I think we've been under $100 for the past a lot of years. So again, you've been able to control spending for the things that you can control, and again, not compromise services that everybody in town has become very accustomed to. And with that, I'll entertain any questions that the council might have.
I just want to say, I think the finance committee, the budget committee have worked very hard. This didn't start out as a $99 increase. It took a lot of work to get it to where it is. And about 2 weeks ago, Council President Duffy and I attended a mayor's meeting, and the talk was all about garbage contracts. So this isn't just who New Milford uses, this is across the board. Garbage has gone up insane the last year or two. And, everyone is hoping that it's going to start falling down in the near future, but we'll see.
Do you have any understanding as to why it's been going up exponentially?
There's more of it.
COVID has wreaked havoc on the garbage contractors.
Yep.
Because you have a 3-year or a 5-year agreement that was in place, and the pandemic starts, and now nobody's going to work or working from home. So the garbage volume just, went through the ceiling, and with volume comes increased tipping fees. You've got a contract which is fixed. You're paying X number of dollars a year, and they're going to pick up all the garbage and pay all the tipping fees. So the contractors, by and large, that were in that situation, we're getting hit pretty hard. So now, once the contract expires, in the world we live in, you get one bid, and now the contractor's trying to get even. And unfortunately, over the years, as governments tried over and over to try to, levelize the industry. My experience in talking to a lot of my towns over the last couple of months is they get the same company, one bid, and if they throw it out and go out to bid again, one company, one bid, and the best you can do is, go out the number of times required, throw them all out, and then try to negotiate something a little bit better, with the contractor. But it's all based on volume.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate your work on this.
Anyone else have any other questions or comments about the municipal budget?
How much of the increase has to do with repayment of bonds?
Our debt service
Debt service.
is really, debt service is going up about $113,000. And again, that was all, we knew that was happening. That was all factored in when we sold bonds last year, that there would be a slight increase in debt service. But again, you're on the program where we sell bonds once every 7, 8, 9 years. When an older issue is dropping off is when we'll go to market. Now, you were very lucky going to market last year because you got historically low rates. The rates, I will tell you, have climbed. I don't know if it's significantly, but the bond market's a little hesitant right now. What's really gotten hit is the note rates, where notes were being sold last year for 0.012, 0.02 quarter of a percent. Now the coupons are like 2.5% for a year because everybody's worried. The Fed says they're going to continue to incrementally raise the interest rate, which just means you're going to pay more for the money you borrow. Which again, I say this a lot. Would you rather be good or would you rather be lucky? Well, we were good and lucky by selling our bonds last year, as opposed to pushing it off and waiting.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Wilcox.
You're very welcome, Mr. Mayor.
I don't think you ever sound like a broken 45.
The sad part of all this is I remember having 45s.
Yes, I have a jukebox with 45, so I know all about 45s.
Yes, but you didn't grow up with 45s.
No.
Ira and I'm
from the cassette generation.
Count me in that generation.
Oh yeah, my first car, I had a portable 8-track
Nice
player. It was on a bracket, so you could take it out and put it in the trunk. So God forbid nobody break a window and steal it. So
Very nice.
Yeah. Revisionist history, my friend.
As usual, thank you.
You're very
Thanks for all your
welcome.
help.
I will be taking my my leave, just like I would if I was there in person, which apparently in 4 weeks when we have the hearing, I'm going to be there in person.
Yes.
Assuming all goes well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
I think most
Think
governments are starting to flip back to in person because we keep our fingers crossed that we may finally have turned the corner on this
I hope
after
so.
2 years. So
I hope so.
anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night, and
Good night.
see you in 4
You
weeks.
too. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
Good night.
Steve.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Everybody. Good night.
That's Steve.
Okay, so the budget ordinance is 2022:09. And when the clerk has the opportunity, I ask her to please read the ordinance.
Calendar year 2022 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
It authorized the increase of 3.5% of the previous year's appropriation to establish a cap bank. That's it. And we heard from Mr. Wilcox, so that's what it's all about. This time I would ask for a motion to introduce 2022 municipal budget.
Second.
Oh, no, the ordinance.
Ordinance, introduced ordinance 2022:09.
Yes.
Cap bank.
Motion.
Ira,
Second.
Matt. May I get a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Sandhusen,
Yes.
Councilman Grotzky,
Yes.
Councilman Seymour,
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
Now I would ask for a motion to introduce the 2022 municipal budget.
Motion.
Second.
May I get a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Sandhusen,
Yes.
Councilman Grotzky,
Yes.
Councilman Seymour,
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
Hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held at the New Milford Municipal Building on April 25th, 2022 at 7 o'clock, at which time and place objections to the said budget and tax resolution for the year 2022 may be presented by taxpayers or any other interested persons. Okay, at this time, we have another super special guest, our tax assessor, Mr. Patrick Wilkins. So item number 1 is going to be reevaluation tax assessor. So tell us about the reevaluations. The last one we experienced was probably about 11 years ago. So
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thanks for having me. So the borough has been ordered to conduct a full reassessment, more appropriately called revaluation of all property. As the mayor mentioned, I believe the last one that was implemented, the last full revaluation, and the difference between revaluation and reassessment is revaluation, it requires inspections of every property. That's the biggest piece that's of difference between a revaluation and reassessment. Revaluation and reassessment both require basically an appraisal of every property in the town. The primary purpose of assessment in general and the intention of revaluation is to equitably distribute the tax burden. And the way that's done is by valuing all property at that time, at the time of the assessment, at 100%. So again, the last time New Milford went through a full revaluation with all properties being inspected was 2006. And then in 2013, which was just on the heels of one of the obviously everyone remembers what happened to the market in 2009, we were able to do a reassessment in which we used the existing data from the prior inspections that were done in 2006 to do basically to do a new analysis to bring properties up to a market level of 2013. The way that a municipality, or the way that the reason that a municipality is required to do a revaluation is that the county tax board, which is the local governing body that oversees all assessment practice under the directive of the New Jersey Division of Taxation, monitors annually the relationship between sales and assessments in every district. New Milford, the county has let us know over the last few years that we were trending just like really most districts in Bergen County, that we were trending towards a revaluation because as the property values have continued to increase, there's more and more disparity between the assessments and the market values. Typically, when a district falls below about 85%, where assessments are 85% of what the market values are indicating, the county will order a district to go through either a revaluation or a reassessment. New Milford currently is at 77%. That's an overall average ratio. We're actually, I would say, honestly trending probably more towards the lower 70s. Values are very strong. They've been trending very well over the last 5 years. So that is the reason that we're ordered to do a revaluation. All districts are ordered in this way. There's no time requirement. There's a lot of belief in tax conversations that it's every 10 years. There's actually no time requirement. It's really more tied to that relationship between a district's average assessments and what the market is indicating from sales. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Is this a countywide reval this year, or is it just certain towns?
So Bergen County, there's some states, there's only one county in the state that I know of. It's Gloucester County that does countywide assessment. Bergen County is like the majority of the other counties in the state, where it's individual town to town. There's no county assessing here. So it's really just dependent on where our market is. My office is in conversation constantly with the county tax board. We actually got this order in 2021 to complete for the 2022 tax year. At that point, we actually requested to have it extended. This was obviously in large part due to COVID. Like most districts, there was no issue with anyone getting those requests answered to be pushed off. I would say that I've obviously been hesitant to move anything forward, obviously, because the primary reason for us where there would be a benefit with the revaluation is capturing data, because our data is pretty old. Even though we do manage any new construction, we do full inspections and we look at construction plans. There's obviously a lot of work that's accessible type work that we wouldn't capture through lack of permits, and there's been a lot of deregulation in permits of things that are accessible items. So it would serve the borough to reset the equity across all taxable properties, especially residential. So the reason that I've really come and that I was asked to appear is that we do need to submit or post a request for proposals. The amount of the work that needs to be done to conduct a revaluation obviously includes inspections, full inspections of all properties. We don't have the ability to do a reassessment at this point, because of the amount of time that's passed since the last revaluation. So we must do a full revaluation with inspections of all properties. So because of the amount of work that's involved with just the inspection piece, and the data analysis, the model building, there's also the defense of the assessments. We would be looking, just as we've done previously, to enlist the services of an appraisal firm, specifically a revaluation appraisal firm. So we would be looking to post a request for proposals from certified revaluation firms in the state to bid on the work. So I have put together a draft proposal, which would really specific to New Milford, from my experience with going through and managing revaluations before for other districts that I work in, that I've shared with Christine Damaris, and tried to start developing that in advance of meeting with you tonight.
And I've also shared with the borough attorney for his review.
When would we start the actual reval? Because we've just completed our budget and we have not put any funds in for our budget for this yet.
Right, and I don't want to speak out of turn. I would maybe want the CFO to chime in in the future as far as financing the revaluation. But what I can say, I'm sorry.
We would finance it as a 5-year emergency appropriation, and we're going to have to do a bond ordinance for it.
So we can do that anytime. It's not going to actually affect the budget.
It doesn't affect the budget this year, but in order to hire somebody, as soon as we need to appropriate the money to hire somebody, that starts the clock for the 5 years. So we would be putting a fifth of it into our budget next year for the repayment.
About how long does a reval take? Is it a year, 2 years?
No, it's a great question. I think it's dependent on, obviously, the one thing is that the amount of work that the firm has, but I think it's reasonable to have a revaluation completed in, like if they were to start in New Milford, I think it's reasonable to say that they could get it done in 6 months. I would prefer as much more time as we can get. One of the things that's out of our control right now is you know, what I think is most important at this point is that we start to move forward. I mentioned earlier that the county tax board is very reasonable in Bergen County. If we start the work, if we contract with a firm, I think we would be in good position where if we need an extension for the revaluation, and especially in light of the ongoing pandemic, that might be something that we as long as we've initiated the major pieces, which is again contracting with the firm and getting the tax map squared away, which is already in the works, we'd be much better positioned to ask for more time. So to answer your question, I think it can get done in 6 months. I think 8 to 10 is 8 to 10 months is much more reasonable. But I think in light of everything that's going on and in the world, I think if as long as we were getting started, again, we'd be in good position to make a request for an extension if we felt that we needed that.
Anyone have any other
We have to move
questions?
forward.
Yeah, we have no choice. I mean, we're going to move forward.
Yeah, you're basically ordered to do it. You don't have a choice. It's important to do it because there has to be some validity to our tax base, and this doesn't automatically mean you're going to be raising taxes on people. That's a common misunderstanding. I was the attorney who defended the 06 reval that we did with appraisal systems. All it does is it equalizes the tax base in a more realistic manner. Some properties may be underassessed, some properties may be overassessed. And we saw both of that take place in 06. There's a lot of different factors that come in. There'll be additions on houses. There'll be locations change in terms of their value because of construction that has taken place in the borough. So just so the governing body and your constituency are aware, this doesn't automatically mean everybody's taxes are going up. That's a common panic. And the reality is at 70% of value, like Pat said, where we're trending, we don't have a real accurate assessment of your housing stock in town. So this will adjust that. And I mean, it's going to take a while to get this done. I think the last one, if I recall, was 8 months before it was completed, and then there was a litigation period. The reality is this is going to happen again and again and again. This is something we have to do periodically. And quite frankly, the borough was fortunate that they let you just do the reassessment in 13 to deal with the issue. So, I mean, obviously my recommendation has to be you have to comply with the law. But by complying with the law, it's not the worst case scenario.
So Patrick, are you looking for our blessing to go forward and get quotes from,
I
do we
think
need to vote on this?
I don't think that you need to vote. It's something that we need to do. And I think Patrick was just coming to inform us of what we needed to do.
Okay,
So-
well, yes, we have to do it, so.
Yeah, and
there you have
I'll
it.
work with, I did look at the RFP that Pat had prepared, and then Chris modified it for New Milford to be more consistent with our traditional RFP. I really didn't have too much comment on it. I mean, I thought it was, Pat did a good job and Chris did a good job. So you'll be able to go forward. Obviously, we'd like as much time as we can for a variety of reasons, one of which is COVID. But the first step to give Patrick the ability to tell the county that we're doing what we need to do is to start this process.
Excellent. Patrick, is there anything else we need to know, or we're good?
No, I would just say that I think moving on at this point, and to Kevin's point, I think we are kind of managing what leverage that we have with this going forward, and I think we're very mindful of the markets and watching all of that. I'd be happy to come back if anyone has any questions about how this would move forward and get implemented, I'm happy to discuss that further.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank-
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay. Item number 2, schedule updates. A few reminders. Saturday, April 2nd is the car seat check event. It's sponsored by the New Milford Police Department. It's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's at the New Milford DPW, and it's a rain or shine event, and no appointment necessary. Show up and they will help you with your car seats. Sunday, April 3rd is New Milford's 100th anniversary opening ceremony. Everyone is excited about that, and we're anticipating it. It's sponsored by the New Milford 100th Anniversary Committee. The time is from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Borough Hall, also a rain or shine event. I have fingers crossed for that one. Saturday, April 9th is the annual Easter egg hunt sponsored by New Milford Recreation. It starts at 10 a.m. sharp, and it's at Williams Field behind the library. And you have to bring your own baskets for that one. And on Saturday, April 23rd, the Holland Ave entrance cleanup is sponsored by the New Milford Beautification Committee. It starts at 10 a.m. It's on the corner of Holland and River Edge Ave, and the rain date for that is Sunday, May 1st. Are there any other events upcoming that anyone wants to mention? Okay, at our next meeting, we'll start going through May and June. Memorial Day Parade coming up and a host of other events coming up. Okay. Item number 3 is the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. The majority of my report is a summary of the engineering report for the month. Some updates. Knightsfield, the punch list has been provided to the contractor, and final seeding and restoration is scheduled for April. In addition, they're going to be checking the sod to see if it's ready for play. The Knightsfield Pavilion, the estimated delivery date is June 27th, with installation scheduled upon delivery. The Madison Avenue Sidewalks project, the plans were resubmitted to the county on February 24th, and we're still awaiting a response. We're looking at a bid date of August of this year. The New Jersey DOT culvert project, the design is complete. We're in the process of requesting signatures from the private owners of properties that we will need to have access to complete the project. The Kennedy Field bench covers, unfortunately, between the delivery date and the start of spring sports, there was not enough time to make it happen. So we're going to have the construction scheduled for the end of July, beginning of August, following the spring sports and prior to the start of football season. Graphic Boulevard Improvement Project, which is resurfacing from Chestnut to Birch. We've received comments from the DOT and we are revising accordingly, and we're anticipating a bid date in April. Pacific Street Improvement Project from Reichel to Fowler. The design is complete on that as well. We are waiting for the county's approval because this is a community development project, and we're anticipating a bid date for this project in April as well. We're hoping that we're going to be going out to bid with both projects and might entice somebody to bid on both of them. Warren Park ADA improvements, the design is scheduled to be complete April of this year. You recall we talked about an ADA parking space and a walkway to the park. Graphic Boulevard signalization project, we've received a $570,000 DOT grant, and we will have a schedule upon the appropriation of the funding. I'm having an ordinance prepared to introduce a capital ordinance to be introduced at our next meeting on the 11th. Once that ordinance is adopted, we can proceed with moving forward with the design on that project. The only other thing on my report tonight is that our next meeting is a work session, which is scheduled to be held 2 weeks from tonight, April 11th, and it will be held in person at the Borough Hall. First time in a long time.
Yes. I am particularly excited about the grant for the Graphic Boulevard Signal project. This has been a long time coming. I want to thank the DOT and all of our outside representatives that advocated on our behalf. It's a very dangerous area, and it's also going to help the rest of Graphic Boulevard with, you know, some of the issues we've been having lately with speeding and trucks over their proper weight. So this is a good thing that we're doing.
I'm also very excited about the pavilion. I can envision many wonderful events taking place there.
Absolutely. I can't wait for it to be installed. It's just, unfortunately, it's taking longer than anyone anticipated, but
It'll be
it's going to
there.
be awesome.
It's going to be great for the community. It really is going to be a
Absolutely.
very great place.
Yep. Okay. Resolutions. Has everyone had a chance to look at the resolutions? Are there any that need to be pulled out for further discussion or vote? Okay. I need a motion to file council committee reports with the borough clerk to be spread in full upon the minutes.
So moved.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're going to quickly go around the rectangles, and we're going to start with Councilman Grotzky.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Grant.
I have nothing to report at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Sandhusen.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report for my committees. However, I do want to share that I had an opportunity to attend an electric vehicle symposium hosted by the Bergen volunteers. County Executive Jim Tedesco spoke, and what it was about, let's see, and also New Milford Environmental Commissioner Lee King attended with me, and we got to look at some new electric vehicles demonstrations and hear about the county's initiatives and programs for electric vehicle charging stations and support for municipalities to grow their electric fleets. So it was very informative, and it was expo style, and it was very, very interesting. So the Environmental Commission is working very hard in gathering information to ensure that the installation at Knightsfield goes well. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Seymour.
Well, it's certainly an exciting time to be part of New Milford Sports. Congratulations to, I believe, our several, 3 travel basketball teams on winning championships. And good luck to all of our spring sports. Spring sports have opened up, including travel, soccer, many other sports. It's going to be a fantastic season, I'm sure. Very much looking forward to it. And I also want to just let everybody know that there's a lot of progress has been made on the New Milford Woods Trail Board. Completion is tentatively scheduled for April 23rd. And I just want to, again, give a lot of credit and thanks both to Boy Scout Troop 78 and Scout Garrick Sandhusen, who's spearheading this project and has done a fantastic job. So very proud of Troop 78 and also very proud of Scout Sandhusen. So it's an exciting time.
I guess that's what he's doing when he's not Glenn Gulia in the High School Musical.
High School
He did a fantastic job.
Yeah,
Everyone,
I don't know when he
cast and crew.
sleeps. I don't know when he
Yeah.
sleeps.
Cast and crew of the Wedding Singer. If you saw it, you were definitely treated. It was fabulous, fantastic. Loved it. It was great.
By the way, I would just add as a quick aside that the Berkeley School is going to be performing Stone Soup on Friday. So also looking forward to that.
Excellent. Okay. This morning at 11 o'clock, Congressman Gottheimer was here in New Milford. He's going to be introducing a bill this week that's going to help with students and student athletes and the opioid pandemic. Basically, his bill is going to provide funding for training and education for teachers and doctors and anyone associated with students. We heard There was a parent here today who had lost their child to opioids, to a heroin addiction. They got addicted from opioids as an athlete. They were prescribed, and it was just a, heart-wrenching story. So he's going to try to help, and he was here this morning, and we're always happy to have him in New Milford, and we always welcome him. Our COVID numbers for March, right now we're at 59. February was 88, and that is way down from January where we were over 1,000. So we are still trending in the proper direction. So I'm very happy to report that. I don't have anything else from my end. And before we open up to the public, I just want to remind the public that when we close to the public, we are going to go in, we're going to do the resolutions, and then we're going to go into a closed session. No action will be taken. As soon as we come out of closed, we are going to adjourn the meeting. At this time, I would ask for a motion to open to the public.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the public, we are open to discuss anything related to the Borough of New Milford. All we ask is for your name and your address, and we will give you the floor.
Nobody.
No one? And I can't see who's here, but no one, is the liaison from the Board of Ed here? Is Nicole
No.
down here?
I don't
No?
believe.
Okay. Okay, well, at this time, I would ask for a motion to close to the public.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. May I get a motion to approve resolutions 2022:102 through 2022:113?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. And I'm very excited about 113, supporting the Assembly resolution to suspend or lower the state tax on gas for the summer months, when gas is traditionally the highest during the tourism and travel season. So we are looking forward to that. Okay, may I get a motion to go into closed?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the public, this is where we'll leave you. Have a good night, stay safe, and Sunday is our opening ceremony to the 100th anniversary, 2 o'clock. Everyone's invited. It's gonna be a good time. Thank you and good night.